Alrighty, guys, the Iceman here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel. It's a Friday. Uh, After watching TNA Impact last night from New York City, the Manhattan Ballroom, I want to talk about a couple matches, uh, which reminded me of TNA of old. We had the six-sided ring back, which it was sort of fun to see, but the X Division Gauntlet match for Austin Aries was one phenomenal match. Uh, we saw Crazy Steve, we saw Eddie Edwards, we saw Davey Richards, we saw Tigre Uno, we saw Zima Ion, we saw Manic, we also saw Sonata. And this was a test for Austin Aries. And, when Kurt Angle told him about his gauntlet last night, it was sort of like the response by Aries was, at first it's like, what do you want me to lose? But then, he really didn't come out and say that, but he thought better of it. And he basically said, I'll prove, that I am a winner, that I am a champion, and I can prove that Plan C can work. And what a great X Division Gauntlet match. I mean, everybody was phenomenal throughout this match, and I was just totally pleased the way it turned out and the way it ended. And the way it ended was with Sonata and Austin Aries both in the ring. And when the final two men were in the ring, there had to be a pinfall or submission for the winner of the match. Other than that, prior to that, wrestlers were coming in a ring every 90 seconds, and if you got thrown over the top rope, you were eliminated. They gave this match a lot of time. It was fun to watch, and in the long run, Austin Aries and Sonata kicked the hell out of each other, but Austin Aries prevailed at the end. He proved that he is truly the X Division title holder, and I loved it. I really loved it. Now, what I'm wondering about is the segments with James Storm and Sonata. What's going to develop here? I'm not really sure yet. But towards the end, he told Sonata he was a loser. And so I'm wondering what's going to develop there. New York City, Manhattan Ballroom, a great crowd, as we saw in the beginning. Taz was up in the Raptors. Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray came out. Their ECW home. And it was like bringing back or reliving the past. It was a pretty long segment. I think it was like close to 15 minutes in the beginning, but that was okay because the rest of the show was just like truly, truly great. And I really enjoyed it. Bobby Roode and Eric Young went up against MVP, Kenny King. MVP still on crutches. A match in which I had a feeling was going to be dragged out further because it's too easy for Bobby Roode and Eric Young to win this match, even though MVP is sort of like disabled a bit with the crutches and the knee brace and the torn meniscus and whatnot. So, but anyway, at the end, MVP used his crutch, and Kenny King did as well to beat down Eric Young and Bobby Roode, so they were disqualified. So, Roode and Eric Young ended up winning the match by DQ, but by no means is this, over as of yet. We also saw Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer go up against Rhino and EC3 in a pretty good match. Bully Ray and Dreamer controlled it in the beginning, but then Rhino came in and things changed. EC3 was getting a beating for the most part, but all in all, it was a pretty good match until Rockstar Spud sort of like interfered, and then things just changed, and Tommy Dreamer ended up getting pinned to take the loss, and that didn't set well with Bully Ray. So, but all in all, that was a pretty good match as well. We saw Madison Rayne with the new demeanor of Brittany. She's a meaner Brittany, and she really showed her meanness last night, really taking it to Madison Rayne. Uh, a pretty good women's match, as a matter of fact. This match also was given a bit of time. I was pleased for that. And both those two really work well with each other in the ring. They were beating the hell out of each other, actually. And it wasn't until the very end that finally Madison Rayne ended up defeating Brittany. But, you know, I'll tell you, last night's TNA Impact was really, truly phenomenal. The main event we saw was the champion Bobby Lashley against Jeff Hardy. And boy, was this a brutal match. I mean, the ring steps, the ring posts, everything came into play. Lashley dominated for a while. Jeff Hardy finally got himself back into it. They used the ring steps a number of times, and there was one part where Jeff Hardy was taking a leap, and he went down to hit Lashley while he was on the ring steps, and Lashley got out of the way, and Jeff Hardy came down on his back so hard and bounced off. It was like unbelievable that he really didn't get hurt. But Jeff Hardy used those ring steps as well prior to that by smashing Lashley's head into the ring steps. And it got to the point where you're wondering who was actually going to win this match. But in the end, Bobby Lashley was, the destroyer was still just a little bit too tough for Jeff Hardy, and he ended up retaining the TNA World Heavyweight belt. We did see Dixie Carter come out at the end with Rockstar Spud, Rhino, EC3. We thought there for a moment that Dixie was going to get thrown through the tables by Bully Ray, but that didn't happen. But all in all, it was a really, really good TNA Impact, the first one in New York City. I'm looking forward to see what goes on next week. I think Kurt Angle's done a pretty good job in what he's done in TNA thus far. I just think overall TNA's show last night was definitely a big, big step in the right direction. If they can keep on moving forward like this, they're in pretty good shape, all things considering. So I really enjoyed it. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, give yourself the opportunity. You get by that first 10-15 minute segment, and then everything else was superb all the way through. So so check it out, guys, and we'll see y'all next time. This is the Iceman on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel. The man with the plan, the man with the knowledge, the man with the wrestling news. Peace out, everybody.